myself. I didn't have any tertiary education. And for me, priority-wise, that should have been on top of the list, yeah. But I was thinking, hi, if I can make money now and, I'll be doing whatever I want. That to me was a very bad decision.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, viewers from wherever you're watching us from. Is your host at Wima Sports here, Jermaine Odhiambo, and we are at USIU Africa, first very episode of On the Road, and with us we have an amazing lady sports personality, and now she's getting into sports management. As we commemorate women in sports, we have Hilda Indasi, breaking the glass ceiling into sports management. Karibu sana.
Asante.
So we are at your home. You are home. How are you feeling being home?
I really feel good. I feel comfortable in my environment. And most importantly, I really appreciate you guys for being that flexible and coming here. So you're always welcome. As you've seen around, this is a good environment for everything, for the sports that I'm managing, for education, for the international students that we have. And yeah.
So as we commemorate women in sports, which or who are some of the women that you look up to?
First of all, around me, I look up to my parents. And my mom is deceased, but she's one of the women that I really looked up to, and she would walk the journey with me. So I remember even after campus, when I got my first job, my mom was the only person who, it's rare to get this from our parents. We normally get such advice from our aunties or our big sisters or even our friends out there, but she talks to me about the office and what kind of energies I'm going to deal with in the office, especially being a woman, and how to handle them. We are always surrounded by men, and of course there are a lot of complications that come with it. And my mom was the one of the people who talks to me about it, and she was like direct about it, and she gave me ways of how I can maneuver in such an environment. Yeah. I also look up to our VC, our former VC, Frida Brown.
Yeah.
She led by example. I think everyone, from supporting staff to students to like everyone, can attest to that. She's one of the leaders, one of the people that you couldn't imagine sitting next to, but she would avail herself. She's one of the women who you would write an email to and she would respond within 2 hours. And I think if we have people like that, especially women in leadership, we are really going to go far, because she would attend to all our issues before they get worse. She would give us good advice, and of course she was perfect at her job. So she's one of the women that I really looked up to. We have a new VC right now, and I already like what she's doing. She's also on the ground. She hit the ground running, literally, and she's really supporting us in whatever ways that she can. She comes to our offices and asks what we need, what are the challenges and when we're facing. And we know we are in Kenya, we know we are in Africa. It is not easy to get accessibility to such people.
Yeah.
In fact, there are people you have to, it's even a problem seeing their assistants, their secretaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to book appointments and be told, we'll check their calendar, wait, blah, blah, blah. So these two women, among very many other women, are people that I look up to, and I would like to be like, or maybe even better than them.
Yeah, now having gone through the hands of Frida Brown and also your current VC who's leading you and the entire institution, there are some things that you learned from them, and now God is positioning you into sports management, into corporate, what are some of two or one thing that you practice what you saw or what you learned from them? What are some of those things?
Well, the first one that I had mentioned is being approachable.
Yeah.
It's, to me, the most important thing when you're a leader, because you would be having all the wisdom, all the knowledge that you can get, but if you cannot penetrate the people, and if they cannot come to you, then you're really not being effective as a leader. So the fact that they are approachable is one thing that I would love to be, and at the same time firm. And there's a very thin line between those two. It's literally an extreme sport. To be firm, that they know you're going to stick to your boundaries, and also that they can come to you when they feel they want to open up about something. Those two things to me are the most important as a leader.
Important, yeah.
Yeah.
So you seem to be a joyful baby growing up. Kind of naughty maybe, I don't know, but you look to be behind the scenes. Kindly share with us your time growing up in your family.
Well, I grew up in a family of 7 kids. I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters. And in African setups, families like that, we get thorough beating when kids, like, you're beaten on behalf of everyone else. You're used as an example. So we grew up with a very strict mom. Our father was the cushion that we used to run to, but my mom would never give us a day to do our own things or to be naughty. So growing up, I was taught, first of all, religiously. We would go to church every Sunday. I remember I even didn't like going to church. I don't know what happens with children. We always want to play. We don't want to do anything else. And she would be strict also with our academics. Yeah. My mom would let us interact with all kinds of people, but at the same time, she would monitor our responsibilities. We were privileged to grow up with a house help. Like, I don't remember any time in my life when we didn't have one. But my mom made sure that we did the chores. We used to really hate that. But right now, I'm getting the gist. She used to teach us to always be responsible for something. Like, you cannot be relying on other people for your things to get moving. So growing up, what my major lesson was to interact with people that maybe you could even call people that are not in your class or whatever. And also being able to balance that. And it's my mom who used to teach us. She used to use the cane, but she taught us to be humble eventually and appreciate everyone when we grew up. And for me, in the offices right now, in sports, that is really working, because for some reason, everybody that is around me finds me approachable. At first sight, when they see me, when they interact with me, maybe in a game situation, they think, oh my God, that girl, I don't even know if she talks to people or blah, blah, blah. But that time I'm working. But off court, they always get surprised that I can relate with pretty much anyone. Yeah.
Yeah. So any siblings in sports?
Yeah. My big brother stopped playing, but he was a very good soccer player. My younger brother is in snipers, Ulinzi. He plays basketball. My younger sister used to play basketball and rugby when she was in Precious Blood, Riruta. And our youngest brother plays soccer, but right now he's busy with work and school, so he just plays for fun.
Yeah. We have a series of siblings in sports coming up. Would you guys love to feature in that?
That would be nice. I'd like to sit with my siblings and interact and hear what they have to tell the world.
Yes. We are looking forward to having that with you. and your siblings. So any leadership positions growing up, nursery, primary, even as we are young, kuna yule mtoto amongst the group, natural leader. So how was it for you growing up and primary, high school, nursery, in terms of leadership, if you got your exposed in terms of leadership? Yeah.
Well, the only kind of leadership that maybe I got was in school. Courtesy of being a top performer academically, they make you the prefect. Yeah, I was among the top performers. I'm telling you, my mom was not joking.
No joke.
She was even monitoring our handwritings. So nobody in our family writes like chicken. You know that handwriting for
Print.
no. She used to give us articles on newspapers and write that paragraph I want to see. So before you go to bed, all your G's are going down nicely, your D goes up. Yeah. So the leadership I got to practice was being a prefect in primary school. In high school, I joined basketball. And again, because of performance, I became the captain. And that is where I started learning, how to manage people. Otherwise, coming from the family, I didn't really get the chance to be a leader because I had 4 people ahead of me. Yeah. So all I was used to doing is receiving instructions and doing what needs to be done.
What needs to be done.
Yeah.
So you got in high school, captain. If you would share a little bit of your high school basketball and your best moments in high school.
So in high school, I was in Kaimosi Girls High School. And my class teacher was Donald Liru. I don't know if you know Liru. He's in KBF. And he was also my basketball coach. And my English teacher.
Hakuna pandungehepa.
Hakuna pandungehepa. In fact, he used to even listen to how I speak my English. Is that what I taught you? Yeah, but in high school, I had a smooth time. Because Kaimosi is just next to my Ushago. Yeah, so my relatives, my grandma would come and visit, I'm one of those kids who never lacked avocados, sugarcane. Yeah, so I had a good life in high school, but obviously, if you come from Nairobi, if those kids who were used to TV and bread and jam and butter, we used to feel like, when are we going to school and go get into our Akamba, those times to Akamba, get into Akamba and go back home. But I can't complain about high school except the cold showers. Yeah.
You was...
those were crazy. Waking up to take cold showers. My best moments in basketball were winning to go to the provincials. And my worst, I had the best and worst in basketball. We would always get beat at provincials, finals level. So we never went to the nationals. Yeah. And Liru had a really big task of...
We're trying to build that team.
At provincials level, yeah. There's a team called Tigui that was just too good for us. And they would go to the nationals and even perform. So my high school was okay.
That was me with Maseno, I was in Kisumu Boys High School. Yeah, so every time Maseno would whoop us out of provincial finals, every time. So until the time now, my brother was there, so my brother went there as well. At least they came to nationals, and it was a great time for me.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah. So, how did you transition from high school to basketball, into club basketball? How was it for you?
Interesting question. So after my high school, I remember was it December or November? After my KCSE, no, you've already packed. Those times you even want to check out of your dormitory. When you finish the last exam, you're leaving.
It's time to leave.
Yeah, so I came straight to Nairobi, and when I went home, I remember I stayed that weekend. The next week, after a week, my mother just summoned me. She's like, Hilda, you can't sit like this. I need you to go to town and find a college and do those computer packages. Those times people were doing
computer and driving. Yeah.
Hey, I just told my mom, wow, mom, I don't think I want to read books. I don't even know what you call that, but I don't want to go to school. You can't sit here and be idle. That's my mom. You can't sit here and be idle. Even, an idle mind is the devil's work. So in that, you can't sit here and be idle. I'm going to work. I hope when I come back in the evening, you have something that you want to do. Yeah. If you don't want to go and do those packages, you better have something for me that you want to do. So I sat and I was thinking. When she came in the evening, I was like, I want to play basketball. So find me a team. My mom, I don't know how she did her research or whatever. She just went to work the next day. The day didn't even end, and she called. We had the landline.
Yeah.
So she called home and she told me to come to town. Yeah, so I went to her office. She used to work at Mbagathi District Hospital.
Yeah.
So I went to her office and she told me, I found a team for you. I want you to go train. It's along Thika Road, Barclays. So that time it was called Eaglets. It's called Barclays. So I need you to go and get yourself basketball shoes and training attire. Then you start tomorrow. So she gave me money. Imagine, I remember I went to Sunbeam. I went and bought shoes. Okay, they sold me fake shoes. Expensively, but I got them and my training attire and went back home. So my mom came back and saw everything. She told me, okay, tomorrow go to Kencom. There's a KCB bus there. Go straight to the driver and tell her you've been sent to him. Tell him that you've been sent to him and that he should drop you at Barclays. And I did exactly that.
Yeah.
And that was my first encounter with club basketball. So I found a coach called Ben Oloch. I don't know if you know Ben Oloch.
Yes.
Yeah, and I remember I went straight to Ben and I told him, my mom has told me to come and play basketball. Basketball, yeah. So Ben is like, oh, who's your mom? He's like, okay, it doesn't matter. Get in there. We're about to start playing. So I guess he wanted to see what I can do if I have an idea about basketball. And when I got into the game, he was really impressed. Yeah, he's like, there's potential here. And that's just how they absorbed me. In fact, that year they were preparing to go to Uganda for the Link tournament. And they included me. So they told me, go tell your mom that we are going to Uganda in December. If she's going to allow you to come, well and good. So I went home with that information. And my mom was like, hey, okay. I didn't expect things to happen so fast. Yeah, and immediately she told me, Ebu, go on your knees. I want to pray for you. I went on my knees. My mom was very, very spiritual. Yeah. And I went on my knees and she prayed. She said, she told God, my daughter has a talent. Clearly, it has been showing in high school. And now she's already being identified. I pray, God, that you protect her and you nurture her talent, and wherever she goes, you be the head, and let her follow your ways, blah, 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 blah. And she released me. And that's how I came into the basketball.
So how many clubs have you played for to date, and any titles you've won?
Okay. I started with Sprite Storms.
Yeah, sure.
It was Eaglets then it changed to Sprite Storms because it got sponsorship from Sprite. And then I went to USIU. I left USIU. I made some pretty funny decisions at some point in life. I left USIU after like a year. I went to a club called Eastern Queens. It was a new club. So after that, I played a year. They didn't meet my needs, like whatever they had promised, they didn't meet that. So I left that year and went to KPA. Can you imagine? I played a season. I remember we won. That was my first time to win the title, the league title. And after that, now I came back to USIU now to study. So after my studies, I left and joined Equity Bank. They gave me a job. So I played in Equity for like 5 years and then back to KPA. So now I'm in KPA.
Now you're in KPA.
Yeah.
So
about titles.
Yeah.
And they have to, okay, I got some top scorer, MVP titles, mostly top scorer and MVP.
Championships. How many championships do you have?
Wow. When I was in USIU, I got one. I have to count them. When I was in Equity, I don't know if it's 2 or 1, and I was in KPA. I have to count them, but
I think 5.
Something like that. Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a decision that you didn't make a right move in life. At the point at which you left school, you went to the league.
Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing, what was happening at that point, and how did you decide? What made you decide, man, I think I need to come back to school and finish up with school? Yeah.
So I was a really good player by that time. Like, Ben did some work on me. And every coach's dream at that point to have a player like me. Like, I had my fitness, I could shoot the ball, I could do all kinds of things. So there's this team that came up called Eastern Queens. And it was owned by some guy who was, these rich people who say they want to start a club and, fund it and whatnot. So they approached me and told me they would pay my school fees. And on top of that, they would be giving me monthly stipends, like literally something like a salary. And I was like, hey, okay, I'm a student. They will pay my school fees 100% and they'll be giving me money. Let me go play for them. And that's how I actually left USIU. And I was in USIU on scholarship. So I think it's that mentality. And we have that problem still.
Yeah.
For good players, thinking they want to gain the maximum they can using their talent. But you see, at that time, I was still young, like I was still building myself. I didn't have any tertiary education. And for me, priority-wise, that should have been on top of the list, yeah? But I was thinking, hi, if I can make money now and, I'll be doing whatever I want, blah, blah, blah. That to me was a very bad decision. So I went to Eastern Queens and clearly it didn't work. So maybe I felt, it's even embarrassing to start going back to school and saying, okay, it didn't work. Are you guys gonna take me back or something? So I was just quiet and I decided, okay, let me go and play in KPA. At least KPA, I'm sure of the allowances when we're playing games, and I know I'll get the jersey. I won't be benched.
Was mom there that time?
My mom was in the US. Oh, by that part of our lives, we've not lived with our parents for almost a decade. Yeah, they left for the US and we were just staying by ourselves. So that time, I went to KPA, and after that season, USIU themselves, I had like good mentors here, and those, I don't know if you know Professor George Lumbasi, Dr. George Lumbasi, and Wonfa Salan.
Yes.
Those two guys are the ones who like came back and held my hand. They told me, can you stop that nonsense?
Come back.
Can you just stop that? What are you doing now? Where do you want to go next? And they told me, Abu, come back. We will organize something for you. And you have to finish this time. Hey, I went running. Yeah. And that's how, and I started afresh and finished my degree in 2014. So even before I graduated, I got the call up from Equity, and they were offering me a permanent job, blah, blah, blah. And I came back to the same Monta Solano and George Nubasi and told them, they were like, we want you to grow. In fact, that's why we came to get you. We want you to grow. Our main interest is seeing you develop. So if they're offering you a job, you go. We have no issues because the league hadn't even ended. We were getting into the playoffs. So I went, I was trained, I joined, and good thing, good. We thank God, but they're having good leaders, civilized leaders who think beyond wins and all that is really important. Because at Equity, they told me, we know you guys are performing really well, and you still have games to play, and we know you are the key player in USIU. We will let you finish with them. And that time the league flowed over to the next year. Sometimes you don't finish, and they allowed me to play and finish everything, and then now go and join Equity. For me, that's something I can talk about every day, because if it wasn't for them, if it was a battle of egos between the leaders and whatnot, there would have been a lot of
friction
and everything, and maybe it would have affected me. So for me, that was one of the bad decisions that I made in life, and I keep talking to the students even here now about that. I tell them, you see, I'm 37 and I'm still playing. If I had made better decisions that time, or if there was someone like me talking to you now who would have talked to me about that when I was on court that time, I would have finished long time ago. You never know, maybe I would have taken a different path. So this basketball is not going anywhere. Use it to make yourself better. If you're talented, use that to make yourself better. And for me, that education, if someone is offering you free education, I think that's a really good thing.
Finish it.
We have to be realistic. We are not at that level where I'm talented. I graduate from high school and I focus directly on sports. That is an option, by the way. And it can be done. But if the systems are working properly, you can come straight from high school and decide, my way of making money will be through sports. But it has to be in systems that are working, where the medical is good, blah, 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 for longevity, not just doing it because you see people, in Europe are doing that and stuff like that.
So one, if you could stress on that point on why you chose education, how important is education in a system that we are in, where things don't work so well, where I've seen even currently many talented kids dropping school to go play in Tanzania, go play where yet maybe you're being paid 60,000 Kenya shilling and your scholarship is worth much more, plus the opportunities. I know you've already talked about that, but if you can look this camera and just stress that point again.
I can't stress it much. I can't even say it. I don't know what I would say about this, but education is like insurance. If you have that, you have a bargaining chip. If you get injured, I know people say that a lot. When you get injured, then what next? Leave that alone. If your game goes down and teams do not trust that you can deliver for them, what will you do? Another thing about education is that you get empowered. You can sit and think and analyze situations and make decisions for yourself, good decisions. If you don't get education, and at this point I'm talking about tertiary education. If you don't get tertiary education, if you don't go to those classes and listen to your classmates and listen to the lecturers and how they reason and how they guide you on, issues of the world and how things should happen, you are not empowered. So even if you want to play basketball or any other sport as your career, as your main source of income, I think education is really important because it helps you to make decisions in life.
So you've been in the Kenyan basketball space for some time, over the years. How has it been? How do you see it? And what, are we on the right trajectory or?
So how have I seen it? Are we talking about my experience?
Your experience. your experience in the Premier League, vis-a-vis what you learned at ITK, and some of the things that you think we can work on, some of the solutions that can be brought on the table that you think can work, just from you as an individual.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, I'll talk about my experience in the Premier League. From the moment I stepped into KBF up till now, I will say I'm lucky that I don't have much to complain about, because I've been benefiting a lot from my basketball talent. It's what took me through college education. It's what got me my first job, which was at Equity Bank. It's what gets me to play in the top tier teams in the Premier League, and even most importantly, to be able to play at national level. I've played 3x3 and 5-on-5. I've been a captain there. It's given me an opportunity to see the rest of the world as far as it took me. So I really cannot complain about KBF.
Yeah.
I went to Germany last year for 5 months, and I saw a totally different experience and approach to how federations are run, how coaches are doing their things, and how they generally just operate. And I think there's a lot to learn from how they do their things. Of course, we are in different environments. We cannot copy everything they're doing. First of all, they have the financial muscle. They can have clubs. Actually, they have clubs for kids as young as under 10 years, clubs that have buses, clubs that have uniform, clubs that have fixtures, And I don't think we have that financial muscle yet. So we cannot copy everything that they're doing.
Yeah.
But what I can say is I've realized Africans especially have the personnel, have exactly what these Europeans are looking for in a sports person. And by the way, up to now, they still cannot understand why exactly a person of color can be more, if trained the same way with the Europeans or the Western world people, performs better, but it's something genetic, and that's something that we need to realize we have. And if we start nurturing that from a young age, I think we are really going to grow. I'm happy I've seen BAL is starting the women's competitions this year. That is major growth, because in those situations we have scouts who come and see our young people before they get on. Look at me, I started playing in the Premier League at 17 years. At 17 years in Europe, that player has already been taught everything, including tactics of the game. There's technique, there's whatever, there's all those things. I start learning those things at 17 years, but someone in Europe started at 6 years, 7, 8, 9. So by the time they are 17, they have mastered the game. They're just executing. And that's the only thing that I think gets them ahead of us. But considering what we have, especially genetically, we have the potential to do better. The other thing is our governance. We really need, I know it's gonna be a long process. It's not easy to turn things around at once. It's going to be a long process, but if we get our systems working and working the right way, by that I mean, for someone to be a coach, they have to be qualified. How are you qualified? It's not being a good player. It's not, I played in the league for 30 years, so I definitely understand the game. That's not enough. It's not about, what can I say? I work in in the sports department, so there's a basketball team there. Since I'm already in here, I can go and coach. No, coaches need to go through those clinics. They need to continuously research and learn about how coaches should behave. And it's not just about coaching, it's also about their personalities. In fact, it's majorly on their personalities. That's why you find good coaches not being able to get players to perform and they don't understand where the disconnect is.
Yeah.
Coaches have to understand that they need to interact with the players and be approachable. The player needs to feel like they are home for them to be creative. They need to be relaxed. And in our league, I think we can do better with the governance.
And the governance.
I think we can do better.
Perfect.
Yeah. There's a lot of information. Nowadays, you can even just go to YouTube and type and get information. Like, follow those coaches you see are performing well and see what they do with their lives and how they manage to get to where they are. Yeah. I think we can do better and we have a lot of potential.
Yeah. Since you came back, has any coach or any team, minus USIU, I know, obvious, you guys have done something. Have they approached you maybe to just share your knowledge and experience during the 5 months at Leipzig or Leipzig?
Leipzig. Yeah, I've received an invitation from a high school that I was coaching once.
Wow.
And that is Highway Secondary. So the senior principal, I don't know if you know him, Mr. Patrick Irol. He invited me and he keeps inviting me. And I'm more than glad to go and share what I can. Also, in the Premier League, I have Coach Abel Nson of Storms. He's also officially invited me to go and share with the girls. He feels I'm a role model. I'm honored. He feels I'm a role model, and maybe if I talk to them and make them understand that it's a process. I also started, in fact, in that team. And we would, oh my God, when we were going to meet KPA, we'd just start singing that week. Please, let's not get to 100. Let's not let them get to 100. We're sure we're going to get whooped thoroughly. But I started there. So they're okay. They shouldn't feel that maybe they're not as privileged or whatever. All of us started there. Yeah, so I've received invites from those two coaches and I'm more than willing to go in and share.
Yeah. In regards to sports development, you've been exposed, you've learned a lot, you've made mistakes, you've grown. If you had no limitations of power or money, how will you develop sports, specifically basketball, in the country?
Well, it won't be the first time I'm saying it, but I feel I would work really hard to improve the standards of living of most of our basketball players. You know, there's one thing about athletes. For an athlete to perform well at competition level, they have to be healthy holistically. Yeah, it's not just being good with your skills and everything. You have to be good at home, your relationships with your family, your relationships maybe with your partner, your better half. You have to be in a healthy one. You have to be financially stable. All those things contribute to an athlete being competitive and performing at that level. So my biggest dream would be, if I didn't have limitations, I would focus on a project like that. Just to improve the players' living standards. Yeah, and this is on all those levels. Like, find people who can be talking to them, educating them. Even these issues that we think are, we like saying at vitu za wazungu. You educate them on anger management. You educate them on social media etiquette. You educate them on marketing. Make them, empower them.
How to grow their brand themselves.
Right. Let them know that they are a brand. Yeah, so you can't be signing deals with people. Look at people. Look at where are they coming from. What are they doing? Now, that is empowerment. Me, I would really focus on that. And if you do that, basketball aside, you will see major improvement.
Yeah.
If you got an invitation by the First Lady, Mrs. Rachel Ruto, to deliberate or discuss matter sports, what will you share with her?
Well, besides praying for the sports, because I know she's a prayerful woman and I really admire that. I would talk about that. I would talk about the living standards of our athletes. I would talk about our athletes getting into issues like alcoholism. Thank God there's no much crime, because for athletes you don't have time to
Yeah.
to nyonga others. In the evening when you come from wherever you're coming from, you go for practice. By the time you're done, you're looking for food. So I would really focus on empowering them, especially economically. Yeah, and I would want to talk to her about how we can start, because it's always about starting. Some things look so big, but it sounds so big. You see, even when you say financial limitations, if you don't have limitations, but you don't even need to be a tycoon.
Yeah.
You don't need to be rich. You just need to start somewhere. Start even with 10 people. Start with 5 people. Start with 2 people.
Yeah.
As long as you empower them, you're going to grow gradually, and you start attracting the right energy in terms of sponsors, in terms of those people who are coming to give those talks I was talking about, educating them. That is the discussion I would have with her.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Indeed, we pray that one day you get that invitation. Really? Yeah. Yes. It will be great. I know she's a lady also who's same demeanor as you, open-minded, approachable. Yeah. And we pray that God gives you that chance. And if you are to get back to 17 years old, I'd like you to talk to a 17-year-old you in that camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're 17 years right now, or maybe going to that age, I know by now you have realized you have some talents, especially, let's say, for those talented, even those who are not talented, there's something that you're definitely good at. In this age of social media, I will not rule out that you're not aware. Everybody goes to TikTok, everybody goes everywhere, and what talents or what abilities people have that could grow them.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, and for now, let me talk to sports people. Use that to better yourself. Look for someone who you find, look for these leaders, look for these role models. Come to USIU, come to our offices, come to talk to someone who you feel can give you tangible advice. And let me remind you that everybody will want to talk to you, especially if you find yourself in a situation where everybody is talking to you. They want to give you advice on what to do or what not to do. It means there is some potential in you.
Yeah.
Identify someone who you feel you're comfortable approaching, and go talk to them and ask for advice and how you should approach situations. It doesn't matter what it is. It could even be your relationship with your better half. It could something as simple as that. If you're not sure of how to approach a situation, start looking for people to guide you. Okay, and I think if we did that, some of us, if some of us had that knowledge, like if we knew at that time, we would go to someone, and start asking how did you do it? I've done this wrong. What should I do? I think we would actually be better people in society.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. On to the last question before the quick fire segment. You're a spiritual person. You've grown in a spiritual family. What's this one thing that unasema, enyewe God, man, you did it for me? In what great way can you testify about God's work in your life?
First of all, growing up spiritually, I had a mom who was very religious. Getting used to going to the church, I think it's really important. Even the way some people just go, you can go to church and fall asleep from the first, the moment the pastor is up there and he picks the microphone, you are dead asleep. I think you're in a better place than someone who just stays home. And I think that has really helped me, because in an environment where people are praying and good things, good energy, positive energy.
Yeah.
And I think that has really carried me through. And I can say in my life, in my basketball career, I've had 2 major downs. There is a point that I lost twins, 2 kids, and there's a time I lost my mom. And those were moments that I was really, really down. And when I look back, in fact, I just talk about it like this. I cannot say I was in a very, very dark place. God's grace was with me throughout. Like, even when I was going through that, I had hope that things
will get better.
Yeah, this will come to pass. This shall come to pass. And that is grace. Like, the grace of God is with you. And I even sat through that. Like, I went through all that stuff. And now God is paying back. Like, to me, God is rewarding me. I can't explain the things that are happening to me. I know people will be really fast to say, I'm a national team player, like I deserve it. When I applied this, so I was the captain, I've been performing, top level, blah, blah, blah. At home, I'm a leader. I work in the sports department of one of the prestigious university, No. I think this is just God repaying me. You can't explain going to Birmingham, coming back. You've gone to Germany, you were in Brazil. That coach here, the deaf thing, and even in that process, the people you're working with are accommodating you, because I'm still a learner. I'm still learning how to coach. I'm still learning. Yeah, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
So I would say that grace has carried me through, and God actually rewards consistency.
Yeah. Definitely, viewers, we'll end it with that. God actually rewards consistency. So stay consistent, plug in to God, and he never disappoints, definitely. On to the quickfire segments. Your best sports documentary.
Yeah.
Do you have any of your best sports documentaries? Or you don't do documentaries a lot?
Not really.
Your best sports athlete?
My best sports athlete, I'll say it's me.
I knew it's coming. I thought it coming.
I don't say it's me because I feel at some point I just do things. I do what I feel is right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, that's admirable. I also admire myself for that. Like, my main aim is not to impress anyone or depress anyone. I just do what is right and I let it flow. Sometimes it causes friction.
Yeah.
But eventually, when people understand you have no ill intentions, you're just doing it, you're doing the right thing, they come around and they actually appreciate you.
Yeah.
So,
your best recovery method or equipment, sports recovery?
Food.
Food?
Food. When I go play, let me just say, a typical day, we've been training or we've played a really hard game. We are going home, our muscles are sore and all that. If your muscles are sore, it means you have micro tears in your muscles.
Yeah.
Like, what is the best recovery? It's eating a food that is rich in protein, a balanced diet. You have to eat fiber, that is vegetable. And if you're having maybe cereals, fiber, you can get it in many times. Yeah, that is the only way. Eat good food, sleep, have enough sleep. Enough sleep is giving your body time to recover, and you'll be ready for the next job. If you have followed me, I'm really not that athlete who runs for massages. Like, when your team doctor sees you, they're like, let me order ugali for lunch because I have kibarua this afternoon.
Yes.
Then when they see me, I rarely do that. I just eat good food, a balanced diet, and that helps me.
That helps
to recover.
Yeah. Indeed, Hilda Indasi, we appreciate you a lot for having us here, and we appreciate you as well for the leader you are. Indeed, you've set the dice rolling on the road series, and you shall be the first one featured on that. and we appreciate you for that as well. We are wishing you the best from Wima Sports as you go higher and higher and higher. And definitely, you know, the sky is not the limit. Hit those glass ceilings, let them catch you, hurt yourself, but be the best version that you can for that you can for you. We're looking up to you as Wima Sports and as our viewers, definitely, and we're wishing you all the best. God bless you.
Amen and thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Viewers, until next time, is your host here at Wima Sports, Jermaine, and powered by Osoita Lodge. Indeed, it was a great having you. Until next time, adios.